We'll be starting off with our first speaker, Gina, who, as I mentioned before, will be delivering her icebreaker as part of the Dynamic Leadership Path. This will be a 4 to 6 minute speech. We'll get to learn a little bit more about Gina, titled, I Never Thought I Would Be Here This Long. Gina.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you, members. And I don't know if there are any invited guests today, but thank you for joining. I never thought I would be here this long. So you're probably wondering what I mean. You know, as a cancer survivor, you might think is being on this earth. But no, I'm grateful for every day, but that's not what it is. It's about my career. So many times when I was a young engineer, I would say, I'm only going to be here for 5 years and then I'm out of here. Well, boy, was I wrong about that. So I've been with the same company for 27 years. I know. I started when I was 10. There's a few reasons why I've stayed for so long. It's definitely mainly the people. They've been my colleagues, my friends, and my family. But it's definitely been the work too. I mean, over the years, it's been consistently interesting and uniquely challenging. But I'm not going to discuss any of that either. One of the fun parts of my job has been all the travel that I've done. I've actually traveled around the world. You know, it's afforded me insights into other cultures, amazing food, pulchritudinous landscapes, and storied histories. But again, it's about the people. What I've learned the most is how different we are and how much we are the same. I started working I'd been in the company for about 2 years, and I had worked a lot in the domestic market, but had taken my first international trip to Zhenhai, China. And when I came back, we found out we needed to go back and talk to the customer. And my boss was like, hey, you know, can you go? But you're going to have to go alone with the sales guy. And I was like, yes, I said that aloud. But in my head, I said, he's crazy. And and so I asked him just that. And he said, no, I think you're prepared. And he said, I just think the only thing you're missing is probably a few gray hairs. And I said, that'll never happen. So from that point on, it began years of traveling, and sometimes even on a moment's notice. Can you leave tomorrow to go to Paris? Yep, I can do that. And so I've traveled to all over Europe, to Paris, to Ukraine, to Czech Republic, and I've spent a lot of time in Asia. I've traveled to South Korea and China, and I've made many, many trips to India and Thailand and Indonesia. And it's been an amazing time. And one of the benefits is the opportunity to just even see the local sites and sometimes major monuments that I never thought as a little kid that I would ever get to see. So I would say my most memorable times is actually seeing it through the eyes of the locals. And you can hear it in the pride in their voice when they talk about their country and their culture and their family. Some of my most unique experiences that I've had are when we worked at a job site just outside of Prague. So every night we got to go into the city and get cheap food and good beer. Or when we went to Paris, and I went alone actually to Paris, and I found out colleagues were there. And that night we ended up having an amazing dinner on the Champs-Élysées and walking over to the Eiffel Tower. I've been to South Korea and sat on the beach and had fresh seafood. But I've also had experiences where it's been a little concerning. I had been in Indonesia when their local presidential elections were going on at a time when there was a lot of turmoil in the US. And the hotel workers who like to practice their English with me would say, are you okay? We want you to be comfortable here. And then when I was in Bangkok and there was a military coup, and we went to the office that day, but that night there were a lot of phone calls from the office and from the family. And I would say, I'm okay. That happens here a lot. In 2018, I took a trip around the world to go visit my teams in India and China. And I went with a colleague who wanted to see everything. Now, I'd already seen the Taj Mahal and the Great Wall, but it was fun to see it through her eyes. And then we went to Xi'an, China, and saw the terracotta soldiers, which was on my bucket list. You know, although I never thought I would stay at this company for this long, the travel has been a wonderful bonus. And I can't lie, I don't miss the long flights and the lack of sleep. But I'm grateful for what I've seen, and I hold close to me the people that I've met. They've taught me that kindness is everywhere and that we all have similar goals, whether it be food, shelter, life, love, happiness. But we're different in many ways, but we're all the same.
Thank you, Gina. It's always nice to hear somebody's icebreaker. You get to learn so much about them. And I think especially it's nice to hear about all the travel you did, where we've all been so cooped up for so long. Can't wait to get back out and start exploring again.
Oh, that is true. That is very true.